some of Saint Clare's writings, where she talks to her sisters about God's choice, and says, in effect, or at least this was my take on it, I guess. Maybe that's where I am at this point. That, if Jesus the King, Christ the King of all, has chosen to make any one of us his chosen, that choice is irrevocable. Just as his choice of the Jewish people as the people of God was irrevocable. They are still his people. And that because of that, then we have been raised, each of us, to a dignity that is so far beyond just ordinary day-to-day living that in effect, he has made, she was talking to her sisters, made each of them a queen. It relates to the gospel reading where Jesus tells the apostles they will be the judges over the 12 tribes, in effect, the leader of them, or the king, if you will. And it puts a different slant, I guess, on things. I guess I always think of myself as a kind of a little person who kind of gets lost in the shuffle, and I'm fine with that. But it didn't sound like that's what the gospel says, or that's what Clare was saying to her sisters. And it's kind of like I don't see myself taking my place with the great saints, but maybe with the little ones, just kind of peering in at the windows and looking through the doors at what's going on in the Divine Liturgy. And I've got to do some more thinking and praying about that, because it's like there's another quotation that comes to mind, is to be aware of the great calling that is that is ours, each one of us, and to try to measure up to it, not be intimidated by the fact that this is the calling, but to try to measure up to it. And I guess I probably need to realize that I need to do some stretching. But I just was impressed with that. I was listening to a CD on the way home yesterday, driving, and said some of the same basic things, about, it was talking about John Paul II's theology of the body and how it relates to Mary. It's an excellent thing. I just got to go back and hear it again a third time, because he draws the parallel between what society's ills today are, what John Paul II says about the theology of the body, and then what the church has traditionally taught and made dogmas about Mary, and how they pull together, kind of mirror each other. It's kind of like you can go line for line almost across the way. Just good stuff there that bears a lot of reflection and study. So I think Clare had the insight to know that even though each of us is called individually by God, we also have a general call, and that's one of the things this priest talks about, the idea of Mary as mother of the church. She's mother of the whole Christ, not just the physical mother of the body of Christ. She's the mother of God, but she's also mother of the church, and that means each one of us has to figure into our own spirituality. So anyway, just some random thoughts, but I think they bear on the readings. I always get kind of reflective when the gospel comes up, because it seems like often it relates just to religious or to clergy. And I don't think that's, I think it's across the board to the church. And that each one of us has a call, and that call is irrevocable.
Follow me. That's it, yes.
And that how we live that call is how John Paul says, that determines where we're going to be with this body at the end of time. How we use this body is going to be where we are at the end of time, basically heaven or hell. So, kind of good stuff there, but awful deep. And so it's going to bear a lot more reflection and discussion for my money.